All right, so big update from the last 24 plus hours. Kind of as I alluded to the last video, I felt I was feeling pretty lightheaded, and I was feeling my joints were aching a little bit. It was hard for me to walk with my sister. I just had I just was feeling off, and I've had a pain under my ribs that I was worried about. And so I had been sitting in my chair after church by myself in my house, and I was praying to know what to do next, to know where to go from here. And just a few minutes later, my friend Mel comes in. Unbeknownst to me, she came in and she sat down and she's like, "Hear me out. Would you be willing to go to the ER?" She's like, "I was just thinking in my car, you need to go to Holly's." And I thought, how did you know? I was just praying to know what to do. And here you are with the answer and a ride to the ER. And later, as we were talking about it, both of us I had envisioned that I was going to pass out and nobody would be home to see it. And Mel had envisioned me face down on the floor in my kitchen. And between the two of us, that was scary enough to continue forward. And so we went to the ER. We knew I was bigger than the quick care. And right away in my blood labs, they discovered that I was dangerously low in sodium. And if you get too low in sodium, you can start to have seizures and go into a coma. And so that was enough reason to be here. He at first the doctor told me that I could possibly go home and eat table salt on my food and be careful on my intake, because if you go up too fast too, then you can have seizures as well. So from there, they took a CT scan of my abdomen to see what the pain was. And when he came back in, he looked very concerned, and he said, everything is kind of swollen, and there's areas of pockets of fluid. There's a couple of areas of adhesions, and it is definitely no longer an option to not be admitted into the hospital. And we'll start really slow. Surgery is not an option for me at all based on my diagnosis of metastatic cancer, but also based on my anatomy and my history. He told me I had lasagna insides. So, yeah, nobody knows what they are. They're all mysterious. So I was admitted, and right away they stuck an NG tube in me, which is a super traumatic experience that I've had from my past. I've had many NG tubes, but a lot of them I woke up from surgery with them in already. The ones I've been awake for have been horrendous. And so this one was true to form. The first time it went in my nose and out my mouth, and I had to rip it out. And he was like, "Why'd you do that?" And I was like, "It was coming out my mouth." So that can't happen. Next time they came in, x-rayed it, he got it all the way down there, and it was hooked. He's like, "I've never, ever seen that happen, ever, and I've placed hundreds of these." So he tried to pull it back out and stick it back in. When they checked again, it still had a hook in it. So we had to pull it back out, stick it back in, and it was finally right. And then it was horrible. It was like I was gagging on it all night. I couldn't breathe with all my lung issues. It was hard to breathe. Every time I swallowed, I wanted to puke. Oh my gosh, it was so bad. So today I had an amazing nurse, and she fought for me all day. Anybody who would walk in the room, I couldn't talk, but I would say, "Find someone to pull this out. Find someone to pull this out." And that the top of conversation. So they poured contrast in through my NG tube to take an x-ray. And then I waited 2 hours. They poured contrast again, and then I had to wait another few hours. Then they came in, took x-ray. Then we waited, and they read it, and finally the doctor said, you can take it out. Things have kind of started to resolve themselves. Contrast went all the way down through the whole system, so there isn't a blockage at this time. So Heavenly Father is good, and I am alive to tell the tale. And had I waited, I may not be. So here I am.